So here we are in 3ds Max, and I've got an empty scene here, and I'm just gonna make this full screen, and I'm going to create some displacements in here. Now first I'm gonna do a simple box, and I'm gonna set up my grid, home grid, and I'm gonna set this to 64. Okay, and I'm gonna snap to grid, and let's say I want it to be about that big. That's how big I want my map to be. Now on top of this, I want to create some displacements, so I'm going to go to Wallworm Anvil, move this out of the way, and we'll do 64, just make sure our grid's snapped like that. I'm going to get my helper, change over to select, and now I can create some displacements. And I want this to be a park, so we're going to cover this in some displacements and then add some hills. Now when I hit create displacement, you'll notice that it creates a displacement where my helper was, but it's not the same size as this box. It's the same size as one of these boxes, but it's not snapped to one of those boxes, it's snapped to the vertex. And the problem here is that when you create brush textures like this, it snaps as per square unit, whatever your unit happens to be. So if I just exit this and delete what I've got right here, and I'm going to create a plane, go into top view here, I can create a plane based off of 1 square unit, 1 by 2, 2 by 2, 3 by 3, etc., etc., etc. However, when I create displacements, if I go over here to select mode, and I want to move this around, I can create one here, open up my anvil, but it's a little big, but get helper. Still kind of learning how this works. I don't know why it's over there, but you'll notice that this is based off of the vertex. I've got one vertex here, one here, one here, 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 here in the center. So I can line this up here, or here, or here, but I can't line it up perfectly with these 4 squares. So I can't just cover this in displacements. I can cover the entire thing in displacements. I guess if I were to select this and come over here and create a bunch of displacements and then move them so that it covered it, but it's going to be very overshot. You'll see it hangs off the edge right there. So my suggestion is that you make displacements based off of square units instead of vertex. Now it's possible to make 1 square and then move it there, and then the displacements are based on, this is based off the vertex, you'll see right here as well, instead of a square unit. But then your entire map is going to be off center. Like if I want to create another thing over here, it's going to create misaligned with that one. So it really throws everything off. Another thing is when you create a displacement, if I get my helper over here and there it is, just zero it out. This little helper right here is significantly smaller than the displacement it's going to create. You'll see here I've got 64, my helper's about that big, and if I move my helper back on top of here, you can really see, look how much bigger that displacement is than the actual helper itself. If I were to move this up 1, you'll see that's what it should be like. The displacement should fill in the helper, so you see how big you're actually creating something. Instead of going to here and saying, assuming that my helper is a little bit smaller, so I hope it'll work. You can, if you push the size of the helper down 1, or up 1 I guess, since you want it to be bigger, you can have the displacements create within the box, so you actually know that's where my displacement's going to create right there. Because if I do this, I mean look at that, it looks like it should create something that lines up with this, since these sides line up, but it actually creates this big monster over here, which is much, much larger than we ever need it to be. So those are my two little quirks with the displacement system and how they work. And it's possible, because I've seen you do this. You can create your box, or well, you create your displacements. I want one this in there, and we'll just leave it like that. Okay, so you create your displacements. You go into edit mode, then you come over here and you create your box. After that, snapping to vertex, and you can do that. But in order for that to work, you really have to do all of your displacements first, which when you're building a map, you really don't know where everything's going to go. Let's say I just block out, like I said, a park, and I want a road from here. You're gonna come down a little road. You're gonna have a park, and then over here is gonna be a building. Okay. And right here, I want a grassy area. I can't really delete all of this, create my displacements, and then recreate it to accommodate for where I wanted to create a hill. It's a lot of work, and it really seems very unnecessary. And if I move all of this so that it's based off of a vertex, I've really messed up. I mean, I can do it now because I've got very few simple objects in my scene, but I can't really do it any other time.